Welcome to Design Your Life in Business, the podcast for leaders by Bright Mind Consulting Group. We give you the necessary tools to help you become the architect of not just your business, but your life too. I'm your host, Jevon Wooden. We are here today at Well Done Cooking Class with the owner, Michelle Morris. How you doing, Michelle?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm glad we got to do this in person.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. We're going to get into it about a lot, okay? So first and foremost, before we get to all the business side, tell us, who are you?
Well, I'm Michelle Morris. I am an entrepreneur. I'm pretty bomb, I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been here. I've been here, so I'm not.
So we have a catering company and a cooking school that we're in right now. We've been working for ourselves for about 8 years now. So thank you. So we've been fighting the good fight of entrepreneurship and just being terrified and excited at the same time. So I do that. I'm a mom. I have 2 boys. One's feels like he's early 30s. He's not. And then the other one basically is like 20. So I have an 8-year-old and a almost 13-year-old. So I'm doing all that. And then soccer, momming it up, trying to find time for myself.
That was the question I was just going to ask. With all that entrepreneurship, motherhood, being a wife, all the things, where do you find time to do all of that?
I actually started time blocking my schedules out. And this sounds really, I'm going to nerd out for a second, but I'll time block, I'll give myself an hour of time. And during that hour of time, I'm only working on XYZ things. I don't stop for anyone. I don't even answer calls unless it's like my kid's school. I might pause for that. And even sometimes I'm like, y'all can wait. So I'll do
call your husband, right?
They can call the husband, but I don't stop until I get that done because I find that I have so many things kind of all over my head and emails and all that. If I keep on seeing a squirrel and getting distracted, then I never get anything accomplished. So that's the first thing. I even schedule out time for I have it scheduled for my hair, nails, all the things.
Right.
Even stuff that might seem trivial, I still block that time out for myself. Even if I'm walking my dog, take a 15-minute break during the day because I work my office out at my house and I'll go walk the dogs and come back. But it's only in that time block that I do it in. And it sounds horrible. I probably go to bed at night, maybe midnight. So I work pretty late in the days after I pick up the kids from carpool. The day is pretty much dashed after 3:30 or 4 o'clock.
All the parents.
Yeah. So we don't do anything. So I don't start back working until around 9:30.
Okay. No, that's good. That doesn't sound horrible. I mean, you go through life. You're able to time block and stay with that. So that's the toughest part. You can start it, but sticking with that, I salute to you because that's
try,
especially as a parent. Things just start coming.
Things happen you don't expect, and you have to pivot and try to rework your schedule. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't always go according to the plan because something happens,
right?
Whatever. But for the most part, I try to at least have some type of scheduling, and I'm a really big list person. So I love checking off my boxes. So every Sunday night for the week, I'll write down my full list of all the things I want to get accomplished that week. And as the days go by, if I don't get it or I kind of work in progress, I'll just create an arrow and move it to the next day until I finish all of my stuff.
You're super organized.
I am very organized.
Yeah, you're super organized. That's dope. Now, let's back up a little bit because you said entrepreneurship for 8 years, right? So what was life like before that?
Oh, life before, it felt very, you know what to expect. And so it's less exciting, but also more comforting. If you know you're getting a paycheck that's for this amount every 2 weeks, that's bomb. Your insurance is good. It's nice and juicy. My husband worked for oil and gas, so we're living the vida loca. But when you start working for yourself, that's when you really have to either hustle or be okay with you having ups and downs, right? And so I think it's definitely made me less risk adverse because I used to be very conservative in the decisions I made or what I do. But my husband is very let's do it. Let's do this. Calculate it, mind you. But he kind of pushed me into being more trusting myself and my capabilities and thinking bigger than what I thought I could do.
That's what I'm talking about. Support. This is very important because you sound like you got the right spouse. You got the right spouse. And that's really key. A lot of people don't understand how important that is. Warren Buffett talked about it. Having that right spouse. It can make you or break you if you have the wrong one. It sounds like you all work together. So what does that look like regarding, is he still working or?
Yeah, so we both work for ourselves. So after after I got the old 1-2 punch from my corporate job, more about that later.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you got to tell us about that.
Got the boot. So after I left there, my husband was like, well, this is really great news. I'm like, still ugly crying. I just literally got fired and like got my little severance package. And I was like, and he was like, yeah, this is, thank God. Like you were never going to like take the leap. And here, like God just like kicked you off the ledge and was like,
cut that bridge.
He was like, ta-ta. And so I didn't know I could work for myself and like be able to make money and us to be able to live the life we live, just depending on us and our team who we build around us. And so I think having someone that you can not only work with, we also know like where each other shines, right? And so we do collaborate and ask each other for advice, but I had my distinctive like roles within the company and he has his roles. And so he's able to kind of do business development on like a farther scale, like further out 5 to 10 year type of plan where I focus on the more immediate things and like staffing and HR, all that kind of stuff. So we don't have to crisscross applesauce all the time, but we definitely lean on each other in that regard. So he's really growing his side of the business and doing acquisitions. And I'm really focused on like the 2 that we have that we're building up. Hopefully on autopilot soon.
Yeah, that's amazing. Teamwork make the dream work.
That's true.
For real. So tell us about that corporate job, because you mentioned it, you got fired. Like, tell us about what you were doing and what that initial, like, you're gone. Done.
Y'all, so let me tell you, I thought this job was my dream job. It was my dream job. I like made it up.
Yep.
I dreamed it up. I pitched it to my management team. They're like, okay, so they thought about it. 3 weeks later, I was in culinary school enrolled. And then a year and a half, I like transitioned to this dream job I made up. I thought it was like bee's knees. I was doing like, I would get to meet people's houses, being nosy, looking at all their decorations, but also doing dinner parties because I would sell them their appliances. Like in my old role, my job was to sell appliances and plumbing and all the stuff. And so when people would say like, what do you do for a living? And I would kind of downplay like, oh, I sell shitters. Like I sell toilets. And then my husband's like, why are you keep like doing that? You're like way more than just selling shitters. I'm like, well, I'm good at selling. And he's like, well, there's more. And so when I started really thinking about it and what made me happy, it was appliances and cooking or just like entertaining. So I was a big chef stalker for a while because I had a blog, Culinary Cutie. It's old. So I had a little blog and I would go eat and like do food reviews because, you know, in my head, people want to know what I was tasting. So I thought I would make it readily.
I mean, people do make a lot of money doing that for TikTok and all that stuff.
Like my mom and dad, they're mostly looking at like, sounds yummy, like double tap or whatever.
I love it.
But anyway, so I did that for a while. And then after I started doing lots of walkthroughs in my customers' houses, I would notice like the stuff that I sold them, they were super excited about that. I told them this would change your life. Like you're going to have your steam oven, create your meal while you're at soccer practice. You're going to come home. It's going to be ready, you know, that type of thing. All the packing material was like still in the appliances after like 2 or 3 months of living there. So I had an aha moment, like we need to hire a corporate chef to show our customers like what the hell to do with this stuff because they're super pumped about it and they bought it. They spent $50,000, $100,000 on this new kitchen package and it's not usable for them. So I thought providing that more elevated end user support or experience for our customers would be great. So our management team was like, that's a good idea. And so I did it for 3 years until one whole day. It was February because
I'm cold, literally. Okay,
it was a cold, harsh day. It was a very cold heart moment, but it was around Super Bowl time. Anyway, my bosses were like, hey, I want you to come in the office. We had a chit chat about blah, blah, blah. So me thinking like, oh, they're wanting to forecast for the next year because I'm amazing. Clearly, all these customers love me. I've sold all these things. I'm like, I'm fabulous. Like, everyone, like, there's no one in these streets that hate me. Like, let me know.
Hey.
So, I mean, I'm amazing. And so I went to the office. I was like disheveled because I was organizing my storage unit that I had from them. And there's 2 boxes in there. And so I'm like, should I buy my laptop? Because when you get fired, you have to turn your laptop. But it was a joke. It was a jokey joke. So I was like, and no one laughed. So I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, this is real. Like, I really should have brought my laptop.
Yeah. And they're like, it is that bad. And Michelle, we're sorry. We just can't afford to have you on staff anymore. And like, here's your like package and like ta-ta. And I was so shocked because I just had a performance review that was like bomb.
Right.
I'm like, what?
Usually how it
Yeah. Once you carry the math wasn't mathing. Yeah. And so I just kind of sat there and I'm like, don't you cry. And I was like, I'm not going to cry. I kept on hearing like, I don't know.
Mariana?
Yeah, I heard like the color purple in my head. Like, don't you cry. Don't you cry. Like trying to suck it up. And then I just like blew it. I've been there for 11 years. Like it was my first job out of college and stuff. And so I was just,
That's all you knew. So,
that was all I knew. That was like my work family. And I started kind of replaying things in my head of the audacity and like, how dare they? And this is, but at the end of the day, it's business, right? And so they got to cut whoever's not bringing, because I didn't have to sell anything anymore. You got to.
So they lost revenue twice. So
right.
Like you weren't selling, you probably were top performer, and then they lost you to having to pay salaries.
True that.
Yeah.
And so then they got hip to the game because in their mind, it was like, oh, Michelle's taking a pay cut because I was in sales. Obviously, I was selling my balls off. But when I stopped doing that, they gave me a salary. They're like, oh, like that's cute. But then it wasn't cute because it was way more than any chef would get paid, like coming out of culinary school. So I was like, like, thank you.
And so what I love,
yes, y'all didn't do y'all's research,
right?
And so it was great while it lasted. But then I realized after they were like, see you later. There's no loyalty in business. No one's going to love your idea or love your business like you love it. Right. And so I was busy like creating revenue and lasting clients for another brand, another corporation, not realizing I could do that for myself too. And so after I left, I actually had a dinner party at my house because I'd already been planned. I really want to cancel. But my husband's like, don't cancel. It'll be fun. So I did a dinner party, gave myself like 2 days to fry my Cheerios. And I was like, well, here we are. I guess I'm just going to do it. And so that's where we're at.
Oh, that's amazing. Now look, 8 years later, like look at what's, and I want y'all to understand how amazing she is though. Like she said it earlier, but this is a multi-million-dollar woman, right? She started not one, but 2 brands that are absolutely crushing 2. So listen and pay attention because she is not blowing smoke. She is the real deal. So tell us about that. You started which one first?
Southern Cadence Cuisine was first, so my catering company. And that was really built while I was working at the corporation I worked at. It was like, that was my main clientele base. Affluent people have a ton of for income and they want to build these multi-million-dollar houses and so on. That was like the clientele that they brought in, right? And so once that it transitioned into like, oh, can you come over and like kind of want to show off my new kitchen, but I don't know how to cook. I'm like, I got you. So after that, I hired another girl that was in culinary school with me and we did it together. And then I started, they're like, oh, we have Thanksgiving coming up. Can you do this and that? And then it just kind of grew into what it is today. Now I don't do as much cooking or prep work anymore. And normally I'll show up to events and be like, da, 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 and then like, do an Irish 2-step with me. So it took a long time to build that and to give people I trust to bring my vision to light and me not see something customer taking a picture of food on Instagram. It looks horrible when it has we're tagged on it, so I'm able to step back a little bit more now that we've been doing it for quite a long time. It also helps me see like where there's holes in the business. Like if I'm so like deep in it, I can't work on it. And so you get so inundated with like groceries and making menus, all this stuff. You don't realize the potential you could have if you're not just fully immersed in doing all the groundwork.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to see the high level view when you're actually in the maze, right? So you don't know when that you can just step left.
Yeah.
Right. So it's good that you're the visionary now. And you kind of brought it up, brought some people in who can have some managing database. That's dope. And then you also do something else now. You've added where you now help to empower other business owners and leaders. So tell us about how you're doing that these days.
Well, I'm super excited about that. Women entrepreneurship is near and dear to my heart. And I found that it was terrifying too. I mean, not knowing, actually you don't know, you're just fresh in the industry, you're just starting your business. You don't know what the stumbling blocks might be. Who else is out there is experiencing the same thing I'm experiencing. And so I wanted to create a space where women could get together and talk about the ebbs and flows and the good and bad things, but also provide resources too. Do you have an assistant yet? No, here's who you could use. Do you have someone to take care of your mundane things around the house that can save you time? Oh, here you go. So just trying to create a safe space where anyone can ask anything. Nothing's too ridiculous to ask. And then let's help each other, uplift each other, be supportive. Because not everybody has a good support system, right? Not everybody has Daryl as a husband or Jevon has a husband to like say like, you can do it. So we need each other to do that.
No, that's awesome. And the underlying tone of that is like community. And you see a lot of people that have these communities, but it doesn't, like if you get into those communities, it doesn't really talk about the how. It talks about the what and the why, but it doesn't tell you how. And I've seen you speak and I've seen the passion you have. You actually give them the game and you didn't even mention the name of this community. So tell us more about the community that you have built.
Well, it's Michelle Chat. So we're just talking about having open dialogue and conversations about entrepreneurship. And it kind of can stem into a lot of different things, whether that's what struggles you're doing with this month. Oh, it's invoicing, it's HR, it's employee handbooks, or whatever. But that's kind of like the space that it kind of started from is let's have a conversation. Because I think anyone can talk about themselves for as long as they can, you know? So it's just like an easy, non-intimidating forum to just hang out and talk. I'm doing some other like networking groups and things like that that we'll have meetings once or twice a month and just talk about what business we're doing or different exercises, making sure you know your strengths and your weaknesses and your company.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have a lot of knowledge that you can share in those groups. And as you said, no matter what level you are at, there's always something that you can learn from someone else. You just hearing that. So you also speak, right? You have this community, but you're also a speaker. Tell us more about that. I know you have a few events coming up based on when we're posting this podcast. So tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I'm speaking at the Women's Expo, and basically it's a lot of like really badass chicks that are having their own business that are going to be there as well, doing expos or demonstrations on what they do. Our company is going to be providing light bites and some food and all that good stuff so everyone can enjoy that. But then some of the other speakers are really just talking about whether it's self-care or having that type of accountability for your finances, knowing your numbers. These particularly, I'm talking about entrepreneurship, of course, because that's my jam. That's what I like. And so we're just excited to have everyone come and hang out. And it's from 11 to 1. And we'll put the link in the chat.
Absolutely. And you mentioned how hard it is to be a woman entrepreneur and all the things. And one of the things you always talk about is saying, you can do this. Mm-hmm. So tell us where that came from and why that just resonated with you when you said, you know, this is what I'm going to call this time.
Yeah. The Lord knows my heart. I love Jesus, but I do cuss a smidgen. So I just wanted to be real. And so every time I like start downing myself, I just look in the mirror like, you can do this shit. Like, you can do this. We can all have what we want. We just have to build the right space around us to get us going. I always tell my husband, like, he has his very big BHAGs. He has his very big audacious goals, all this kind of stuff. And all of us should have some. So what's your BHAG? Let us know. But it's like, you can't do all that by yourself. And even if you're someone that's like a self-starter, you're a loner, you don't really like working in a team, but if you're climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, legally you can't do it alone, right? Yeah. So you have to have
a Sherpa.
You have a Sherpa to go with you the last part of your pinnacle. Yeah, you can do a little bit to get you to that plateau or the next level. But once you want to go all the way up, you have to bring someone with you just for your safety and to have someone around you. So I think it speaks to me of having a sense of community around you and making sure that you're tapping into the right connections and also utilizing your network. There's so many people that you might come across, making every opportunity worth your while. Even if you're going on vacation with your family and you're sitting next to someone in the airplane, what do they have popping over there? You have to be the annoying person that's like, what are you doing? And are you allergic to nuts? Not that. But like, you can definitely, strike up conversation anywhere you go. Yes. So whenever it's time to network, and I've always had a huge, like, I'm a talker, but I'm also like an observer. Mm-hmm. So it takes me a while to get warmed up. And so I think when I would go into networking events, I would like latch onto my husband and be like, what are we going to say? And we're both doing that together. But now I'm like, okay. We're like having our wine and being like, we're at each other talking shit. But now it's like, okay, I'm going to go to a networking event. Even if I go alone, which is I do a lot of times, and I'll just walk out to a group and be like, can I join you guys? My name's Michelle, blah, blah, blah. And they're not going to be like, no, you can't see here. No one's doing that. Yeah. So you just kind of throw your tits out there.
Absolutely. You'd be surprised who you run into doing that.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship is hard. Both know that. We both understand that. Like I said, there's peaks and there's troughs. And Lord knows those valleys seem a lot lower than the highs, right? So tell us some of the obstacles you faced along the way as you built 2 brands and now working on a 3rd.
I think I will say working with your significant other or your partner can be really rewarding, but also can be scary, right? Because both of you guys, we're both depending on the work we put into something and having to build processes and procedure and structure. It's not like you're walking into a franchise and all those things are already made for you. So we're having to start from basically the ground up and trying to putting those things in place. And then also depending on your team or your staff to execute, because you're only as good as like your shittiest person.
Right.
And so if people are coming into our cooking school and they got a horrible experience, they're lighting you up on Google reviews or whatever it is, it's so impactful, but it's also a teachable moment. It's a coachable moment to say, okay, guys, what do you think went wrong here? What can we have done in the future to mitigate this.
Right.
And I think just being able to let go and empower your employees to make those decisions, to be able to make things right without having to be like, let me check with my boss. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. Let me see.
Yes.
I had experience at this hotel Daryl and I went to. We were doing a staycation and stuff got mixed up and they were floundering. And I said, well, what can you guys do? And she said, we can't do anything. She's like, my hands are tied. Like, I wish I could, but our management team didn't give us any like oomph or like power to be able to do anything.
Wow.
So I had to wait till the whole week's over. And that really spoke to me because it's like, you don't want your people to really want to help your customers and want to try their best to make things right. And they just can't do it. They don't have the tools, the resources, or just the permission to do so. And so I think once we got in the habit or the mindset of saying, okay, here's the people we have hired and did all the things with, and now you guys can make it happen. Whatever you do what you want to do and just ask for forgiveness later. If it doesn't work out, now you know it didn't work out.
Right. And that's really how those SOPs and all the stuff are created, right? You can set the process, but there's always going to be these one-off situations, and it does teach you something. And I think that's a very important lesson for leaders and life in general. Okay, if we do fall short at one thing, like what did we learn from that? Because oftentimes we focus on the problem and then we can't see the solutions, right? So it's like, how can we be better next time? So I love that you do that. I love that you allow them that power, give them that autonomy. And I know sometimes that's difficult because you deal with a lot of personalities, hiring different folks, you know.
Yes.
So talk to us about that, like the dealing with how do you maintain and manage the various personalities that work with you?
Yeah. I feel like what's worked best for me is to hire folks who aren't just like me. Right.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times we want someone you jive with or you work really well together, you
Right.
like each other. But it's also like not super helpful if I have someone, another person that is good at networking or being customer facing or being whatever, which is lovely. Those are all great assets to have. But I'm that way too. And so it's like, what does this person have that I don't that could help formulate, kind of create our full team, to make us be as strong as possible. So maybe there's someone like I don't really like accounting and finance and all that stuff. So I have someone to do that. Or maybe I don't have time to post on social media like I want to. So I have a marketing company to do that. So I think just making sure we have the right seats on the bus filled with the right people is really important so that we're not just regurgitating all the stuff we know. Because I always say this, I don't know what I don't know, but I want to hire people that know more than me. So I'm not the only one that's saying, y'all do this and do this. And this is my vision. Maybe I can hire another visionary person that's like, actually, I see it this way. And me be like, that's how we get better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. That's good that you're still open, right? Because as a leader, you have to open and learn. So what's next for you?
Oh, Jevon, so many things. I mean,
It sounds like you want to do it all, right?
I do, but
Not gonna work.
I will say I do have ideas, but I know they can't all be done at the same time well. And so now I'm focusing on obviously my speaking business and kind of developing that piece with your help, of course. So doing that's like my main focus right now. And also getting my team kind of built up to where they can lead on their own. So I just hired a store manager and also a catering manager. So those two guys who've been with our company for quite a long time, I'm just making sure they have all they need to make it happen. So when I peace out for a second, they're not like, So I'm really working on trying to get processes put in place. So right now our company initiative until the end of April is there's an app for that or there's a process for that. And we're working on gathering all our processes down and actually writing them down and putting them in an employee booklet. So someone can just come in and be like, what's happening? So those are my main focuses. Later on, this is later. I also want to make a chef's wear line for women in hospitality. There are going to be these cute little onesies, y'all.
Oh man,
Zip up. They had waist snatch. It's going to be cute, but that's going to be down the line. But that's my next thing. Yeah.
What's up? Okay, I like that. I like the what do you think? That's awesome. So I might have to get me a pair. I'm not in hospitality.
You could be in a onesie. Yeah, we'll have to see.
Not a onesie. Not a onesie. You gotta make you something special. I need to. Yeah, I don't want no onesie. King can have a onesie. Yeah.
Oh God.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, what?
Awesome. Now, okay, so one more thing, then we'll go to our by designs. Over the course of this time, I just want to know 8 years, done this for a while now. What is some advice you would have liked to have that you didn't?
I would say I would just encourage myself to know that it's going to happen. I've just now been able to like even say out loud what I have accomplished because in my head, I didn't feel like it was. I was like, oh, I had a catering company. It's cute. Oh, we just bought a cooking school. Like, yeah. Turning that corner, I was like, okay, we about to do something. We're getting into something. But like before, people would be like, you're the owner of such and such. And I'd be like, it wouldn't embarrass me, but I wasn't like, yes, own everything, Yeah. But now I think knowing that I can like hit $1 million in revenue, I never thought I was just happy with it to maybe hit $100,000, I never thought that we could build something and accomplish a goal. And so I was really like, even now it takes a lot for me to even like say those words because I'm like, I don't want to be braggy or I'm kind of like embarrassed or like I get like left like nervous, because like people are like eyes are on me and all that. So I would just tell my like younger self, like, you would be so surprised at what's going to come around the corner and being able to live the lifestyle we do and have the flexibility we have that we can spend the summer away and work remotely and be able to still be in tune with our team here and our employees here. And I never thought we would work for anyone but a corporation. And so my husband was oil and gas. We were, Chevron had a
good.
You had that juicy insurance. So you just get comfortable in that and not realizing God has other plans for you. You think you're going to be smashing it this year and you have to believe in yourself. I think you have the skill set to do something, maybe not the experience or the touch points of all the things you want to do, but you have to know that you do have talent. God's equipped you with this passion and he wants to see you win. And then how you get there is up to you. So I think I started realizing I have special talents and I have gifts. And the gifts I don't have, I'm going to find someone else that has them and make a team out of that.
There you go. So, that's what Steve Jobs said. Like, hire someone who's smarter than you, hire someone who knows how to do it. They don't have to do it just like you would do it, right? And that's the key. That's the only way to grow, really. So we're going to shift to our by design segment. Y'all know I ask every guest the same 3 questions. You ready?
Okay.
All right, let's do this. So first question is, what has been the hardest part about designing a life and business you don't need a vacation?
I think the hardest part is the journey of the design process. It's like understanding like what your long-term goal is and long-term vision, and then working your way backwards and how to get there, and then making it attainable goals. Like if you have this big, hairy, audacious goal in the future, it can seem very daunting. Like, oh shoot, like how am I even going to be able to create a chef's line? Like, what do I even do? Then you start chatting with people in that industry and you say, okay, it's going to take 4 chunks of things for me to do. And then start breaking those down into quarters, breaking those quarters into months and all that. And so it's less of a feat for you to actually get things accomplished. And then having those people that hold you accountable.
Yeah,
I think that's the hardest part of actually like mapping your plan out and then like sticking to it.
That is because so many other things come. Like you can plan, think you had the perfect plan, then something comes. Nope. Not happening that way. I'm sorry. So second question is, what is the best lesson you learned along?
I would say for me, it would be to not let folks that don't see your vision or dream deter you from doing it. Because it could be your family that's like, look, I don't know.
It's typically them.
Yeah.
They got fears.
I mean, names. But it can be your family that's like, oh, someone that might be a lot more risk averse than you. Like, I grew up, my dad's from West Africa. It's very conservative, very like, doctor, lawyer, those are truths. No one says about entrepreneurship.
Right.
No one, so it's very much like work for somebody, go to college, get that 9 to 5, make sure that check is steady. And so my dad was one of the people that was like really scared for me to go out on my own. Even when I created that job in my head at my last company and they went for it, because what happened? He felt like, you're not generating any revenue. They're going to fire you the first chance they get. So he was scared for his baby girl to have struggles and all that kind of stuff. But if I would have let that deter me from like really following my dreams of being a corporate chef, I would never had any of this. I would just still be selling appliance or selling shitters. I would say selling shitters. So I think you got to make sure if you already know someone is going to potentially dash your dreams, that's not the person we need to be talking to our ideas about. We need people that are going to be like, word, okay, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Not necessarily Swiss cheesing your idea or shooting holes in it, but it's also like you're having someone to provide feedback, but also encouragement. Like, yeah, that could be done. Totally.
Absolutely. You need, think about all the possibilities. make sure you have a contingency plan in place. I like to say your personal advisory board. Right?
Yep.
Board of directors. A lot of people think that that's just for corporations that's public or large enough to do that. We should do that too as small business owners. Actually, more so, because we need the people to bounce those ideas off of as we grow. So love it. Yeah. Family definitely they're not your ideal clients.
They're sweet.
Why would they say that?
Yeah.
Why would they be like, yeah, pay for it?
Yeah.
When they never did it. Yeah, right. Put all your money on the line.
Yeah.
Everything you say that your 401k. Yeah, no, seriously. The last question is, what are 3 tools or tips that you would recommend when scaling your life or business?
So one, I think we talked about earlier, is stop working so much in the business and actually find people to work in it and you work on it. So you're the little like top part of the umbrella, the little like thing that keeps all the layers together. You're that person. And then you have your umbrella peeps that are like covering the business and making sure that that thing is infiltrating it, it's not getting rained upon. So I think that's one. I think the second thing to scale is having a visionary mindset. And if you don't have that, getting that partner to have it. Again, you can't climb a huge mountain alone. So once you get to that pinnacle of like, okay, now what?
Right.
I've hit my goal and I don't know what to do now. That's where I was stuck. That's where I hired this fella. But like
what journey it is.
Yes. But I feel like that's what you need to kind of continue your growth. Like, let's find someone else that's doing what you aspire to do and start picking their brain. And more than likely, they'll either be flattered and want to carve out time for you or provide resources or send you wherever to figure it out. So I think having someone that's specialized in your growth after you get to a certain point, right? So, and then lastly, I would say give yourself grace, but also keep that hustle. Once you hit your goal, it's easy to be like, yeah, $1 million, that's good enough. Everything else I get that far. But you could always have more, and not just more financially, just more freedom, a better work-life balance, more time with your family. You want to take more vacations. There's all those things that can be done with proper planning. And so I think just having the wherewithal to understand, like, this doesn't have to be it for me. Yes, I've accomplished things and I'm proud of myself finally, but there's still more. So kind of like grateful, but not satisfied. Like, we're going to keep it pushing.
Stay hungry as I am sitting in this amazing space.
And if you get hungry,
cooking class,
hire Southern Cadence Cuisine to make some.
Hey, I love it. I love it, man. Michelle, it's been an amazing conversation. I know my peeps listening and watching have enjoyed this. How can they connect?
Well, you could connect with me on Instagram through either company, Southern Cadence Cuisine or Wellman Cooking Classes. Tweet me, beat me.
I love it.
Don't call me. I hate talking on the phone, y'all, by the way. I really don't like it.
You're so funny. Well, it's been a pleasure and an honor. Thanks for coming through Design Life and Business Podcast for Leaders. And remember to keep ascending. Design Your Life and Business, the podcast for leaders, is brought to you by Bright Mind Consulting Group. To find out more about Bright Mind Consulting Group and how you can become the best leader possible, visit brightmindconsultinggroup.com. Make sure you search for Design Your Life and Business on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Bright Mind Consulting Group, we cannot thank you enough for listening.